Well, welcome everybody. This is Gray Beer,
And this is Ash Red.
and this is the Twisted Pair. And we've got another food pairing for you tonight.
Yay! My belly is appreciative of the food pairings. That's all I'm gonna
Especially considering that this is one of my absolute favorite types of food. I mean, I
say.
can eat this all day long, every day. And
Really?
yet, yes, I absolutely love hamburgers, and I don't know why it is, but I
Oh,
love hamburgers. And with just a classic American of what we're doing here is with hamburgers and beer with an extra added kick of the cigar.
mhm. Yes, it is. And like if you really honestly think about, like I'm sitting here thinking about it, I probably eat a hamburger like once a week. Like like that's my go-to. You
Oh,
know.
me too. I mean, I eat a hamburger probably 2 or 3 times a week, and there's been times that I've eaten hamburgers, uh, more than once in the day.
Yeah.
Sitting there at work and get lost, track of time, and so DoorDash and get on there and order a burger and have it delivered to me, and and that's what happened today is got lost in time, and so I was like, oh crap, let me get scheduled DoorDash to have my burger delivered to the underground, which I am here at the underground again live. And so what's up, UG?
What's up?
We got
And
TC in the house and Rick in the house. We got Chef back there
woo!
Kristen?
and Fox. Oh yeah, can't forget Fox over there.
Foxy Fox, hey girl, congratulations. I'm gonna give a shout out for that too.
Well,
Um,
they can't hear you because I've
oh,
got my heads on. But Red says congratulations, Fox.
Thanks.
She says thanks.
so
So, but before we get into what we're pairing,
yes,
in almost exactly 1 month from now, where I'm sitting at, the underground, is the NFG Fest. And if you do not know what the NFG Fest is, it is the hands down best boutique cigar festival on
in
the
the
globe,
world,
in the world, on the globe.
Galaxy.
I mean, the galaxy and beyond. And believe it or not, and I was shocked because I was talking to Chef, and I was shocked. There are still tickets available.
What? No way.
There are still tickets available. Less than 20. The tickets are $99. There's going to be, I think, 13 or 14 cigar vendors plus other vendors, including us. We've
Hmm.
got our own table this year. But $99 gets you the grab bag.
And
And
that
that grab,
girl, no joke.
we're talking $100 plus of cigars, not counting the other swag that's in there.
Hmm.
So it's going to be March 11th is the actual day. That's a Saturday. Friday will be a vendor day, kind of like a pre-party, and Sunday is kind of like the roast, and everybody kicking back and relaxing. But Friday from noon till they tell us to get the hell out is the day. Now you have two different types of tickets you can get. You can get a attendee ticket for $99, or you can get a non-attendee ticket for the same price. Get the same grab bag. You just get to purchase the event items online, but you won't get to see us.
Yeah, and that's sad.
That is sad. So help them sell out.
Yes, it is like. Let me tell you, I had never been to anything like that before. Um, I hadn't even like I've been to like a couple events, but it was nothing like my first UG fest. And I think like the NFG fest, and I think if you talk to people, like they always remember their first ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like every time I go, I always just have a great time. It's never, even like last year we went, and I'm going to say it was freaking cold. It was freezing outside. It was cold,
It
but
was.
it was, but we were all bundled up with heavy jackets, hoodies, you know, beanies, and we had a great time. I mean, it was a wonderful time. And then to actually like meet the cigar owners and blenders, that's the part that you really don't get anywhere else unless you're going to these big events like out in Vegas or. So that's like one thing is like there's not very many lounges that they have the reps come. It's not the reps, it's the people who have created it. So that's one thing that is just like memorable is people that we've met and made friends with, and it's been because of NFG. So I mean, it's a great time. It's a fun time, and we have Great Beer just put it up on the website up to get your ticket, and you truly do not want to miss this. It is something that is just amazing.
So many of the cigars that we smoked here on the show, from Rojas to Edgar Hoyle and One Shot One Kill, Osai, um,
Cavalier.
Cavalier, Sebastian, Karen Berger. Cake by Karen Berger is going to be there first time ever this year.
Woo!
Um,
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller, Blanco, David Blanco. Um,
So I mean,
262,
Ohana.
Ohana. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been watching our show, every single one of these brands, you will know because we have talked about them and we've smoked their cigars, we've paired their cigars on the show, and we've talked about unicorns that you can only get from the NFG festival. Cigars that they make, that these manufacturers make exclusive for NFG, and you can't get anywhere else. So that's another reason to go. Albert asks if Karen K by Karen is going to be there. Bruce is going to be here. Bruce Bush.
Mhm.
I don't know if Karen herself is going to be here.
And it won't let me talk in the chat. So for the people who are saying hello and everything, please note that I'm not ignoring you. I am not unable. I'm not unable. I am. I am unable to say anything in the chat. So just kind of note that I'm not ignoring you. But that's what I'm saying. It's if you get a chance, we have people that come from Alaska, California, New York, Montana. They come from all over parts of the United States to come and join in on this. So it's a remarkable event. But I also, yeah. So okay. Hello. I can't. Oh, date. It is March the 11th, 12th, and is it? It's that.
It's
10th,
10th, 11th,
11th.
and 12th.
Yeah, March 10th, 11th, and 12th. So, a lot of times schools are out for it's like for us, it's a week before spring break. So I'm going to start out my spring break at NFG. Usually I'm ending my spring break at NFG, but I'm excited that I'm starting it out that time. So, those are the dates. Get your ticket and come by and say hi. So I'm ready for our burger. I really am.
So, all right. Lead us off. What are your pairings?
Okay, so I'm Texan, and even though some Yankees now have like bought into this company, I will still support them until the day I die. It is Whataburger. All you people who are out of state and you don't have a Whataburger, this is this is Texas Gold. We don't do In-N-Out burger. They have it made your way. You can get like avocado, bacon, jalapenos. You can get hatch chili on this thing. And I just kind of got like, an American classic burger because I wanted to kind of be like just a regular old burger. I didn't get one that I normally get, like with the bacon and the jalapenos and avocados and the hatch chili. I just wanted just a plain old cheeseburger, just kind of like whatever else because like some burger places won't let you do that. So for when I'm watching it down it was actually Chef who kind of said this. It is the 90-minute Imperial IPA.
Oh,
It
you
is
went with the 90-minute Imperial.
yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, so Chef said it, and so I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and get it. So totally did it. Dogfish. Is that what it's called? Dogfish, right?
Yep.
So this is it. It is, let's see, 9% alcohol, 12 ounces. It is an IPA. So there you go. And what I'm smoking, because we said anything from, we were challenged with anything from, oh my gosh, Oveja Negra, if I could sit there and think for a moment, which, from that. So what I did is I went with a Bishop's blend, and this is like one of their LEs that they only come out with every couple of years. This is actually not Black Label Trading Company. It is, oh my gosh, I'm having a brain freeze. Black Work Studio.
Yeah,
So
Blackmark Studios.
anytime they do a release that's only every other year or every couple of years or every once in a moon, it with Black Labels. It's with Black Label, which is Oveja Negra, but they produce it under the name Black Work. So I'm kind of curious to see how this is all going to go together. To be honest, but this cigar is like pretty like powerful,
So I'm going with a burger from Hot Daddy's.
You
So
went off.
Hot Daddy's is a chain, and so this is a nice big classic burger. It's got the bacon. I mean, not the bacon, but the cheese and jalapenos added.
See, I like me some jalapenos.
And for my drink, this is a Huckleberry Haze, and this is an IPA. It is from Melvin Brewing out of Wyoming, brewed in Alpine, Wyoming by Melvin Brewery, and it is coming in at 6.7 ABV and 33 IPU or IBU.
I didn't realize that Dogfish Headcraft was in Milton, Delaware.
I think I knew that. Oh, and my cigar, courtesy of Chef.
Ooh, Chef.
I've got a Misfit. Look at that beauty. Look at those oils on there.
And that is also an
You can
LE.
see those oils glistening.
Yes, that is also an LE. So,
Yep.
and this is actually the original Bishop blend. This is not the one that was just released this year or the year before. So this is like when it first came out.
Well, let's do this. All right. So while we're lighting up here, we want to know if you guys are joining us with this pairing. If so, what are you bringing? What are you bringing to the table? Did you step up or did you step back? It's time to call them out.
Yeah, I know. What you got?
What you got? Are you stepping up to the pairing or are you stepping back and chickening out?
So, and this is okay. And then we're gonna kind of talk about this one. I want to kind of talk about my little cigar here. We talked about it, but I'm going to reiterate. It is, you notice, as a closed foot. Hello, close to it right here. That's when the wrapper goes around the bottom of the cigar. Don't have it closed like the
that looks like it's a partial close fit, not a full, is it?
It is. It's supposed to be a full. Like it's kind of like it's only like that little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a full.
Yeah. So when you light it up, so the thing is like on the cold draw, I get anise, aka raisin, because like some people are like that, you know.
Anise is it's a type of fruit.
Mhm.
I want to say it's Oriental fruit.
Yeah, and it's like close to the raisin family.
Yep. yeah, that's so when you're getting natural black licorice flavorings, that's the anise. That's coming from that.
Because we haven't really smoked a lot of cigars that have it in there, that have that flavor profile.
Yeah, I mean it's not common in cigars. It is more common, however, in whiskeys,
Huh.
especially Irish whiskeys. You'll find the star anise um, profile, notes in an Irish whiskey. Typically more common than others, but you can also find them in some of your ryes and some of your wheats as well.
Yeah, I've had it. I have had it in some of my rides, and I like it. I like that taste to it. Um, but I'm gonna tell you right here, like this is straight up like a pepper explosion.
That's what I was going
Like
to say on the misfit. I'm getting a lot of peppercorn off of it,
yeah, like
which
and
is going to fit good with with the jalapenos of my burger. But now I'm kind of wondering a little bit on how that's going to pair with the IPA, especially consider it's called a huckleberry haze.
yeah, Huckleberry. That was kind of my thing. Have you retro held? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, like my retro held, I almost like because it was like wow,
That retro is almost
ooh,
it's almost it's peppery, but it's a different kind of pepper. It's almost cayenne pepper.
yeah, and like it is strong, like mine is. And then I also kind of want to talk about because you have like a little like and we're kind of gonna we'll talk about a little bit. But so I have more of a Lancero,
Yeah,
you know,
mine is more of a petit corojo.
yeah,
I mean, I'm
and
sorry, petit corona, not corojo, petit corona.
and we've talked about this. Like whenever you are smoking a Lancero, you will get a lot more flavor than any other size.
And the same well, and it's a small gauge because the gauge on both of ours, even though yours is I think 7.5, 8 inches long, 9 inches long,
7 with 7.
and mine is 4.5. But the gauge on both of these is about the same. I think I want to say they're 46s.
Yeah,
So they're small ring gauges, and it's smaller gauges that give you a little bit more flavor from, or a bit more flavor from the wrapper than
right.
you would on a larger gauge. Even though there's more wrapper, there's less filler in there to compete, so to
And
speak, with the wrapper.
I'm sorry, mine's a 42. Yours is a 46 though. Yours
Okay,
is
yours is 42. Mine's yeah. I knew the Petit Corona is a 40 was a 46. I was thinking that the Lancero was too.
well, there's different Lanceros that he has in this. He does have like a bigger one that's like a 46 too, which is
And I think that's actually called a Pantella. It's either a Pantella or a Longsdale.
usually a Lonsdale.
Yeah, Longsdale.
Yeah,
There's so many, and that's the challenge because there's so many different Vitolas, and uh, a lot of brands will give some of them their own names.
right. But and here's my thing. I'm gonna say the Lonsdale and the Lancero, they're like they're like half brother and sister, or like they're half siblings. You know,
Yeah,
because
Longsdale's just a little bit thicker than the Lancero, right?
the Lancero. So that's kind of like why I was kind of wanting to do that because you know it's just a lot of times is like a, like you're saying cigars will call it something else, but I want to say it's like usually if you see here's my thing, a long skinny one is a Lonsdale or a Lancero or something like that, so you're going to get a lot more of the wrapper because of the less fillers and binders, so you'll get more of a strong flavor. It's strong, you'll be able to taste the wrapper more. I'm going to say it that way. So
Okay, this is not bad.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
is
you
not.
already tried. Hey, did you go from cigar to beer or what?
I went from cigar to beer,
Okay.
and I did take a sip of the beer before I even lit up on the cigar, and I noticed that it had a berry notes to it. As in the name. But this isn't bad at all. It's definitely allowing the hoppiness to come forward in the beer.
Okay. I've had this before. I'm gonna tell you. And when I had it, I even told you I'm a little bit nervous because of how freaking hoppy it was. Did I not say
Mm-hmm.
that? I
You
said
did.
it's dadgum hoppy, and I'm scared to death. So the reason I went with the Bishop's one is because I smoked this cigar several times, and I knew that stand up, it wouldn't lay down, and that was my worry. That is with if you don't have something that's going to complement it, like a Candela complements IPAs, because of that
Mm-hmm.
hoppiness. But if not, then you need to go what we would say with the contrast of something that's going to either be able to stand up against it and like bring out something new. And like before, when I had this, it was straight up like that. This that's all I could taste on it, and it's calmed the hoppiness down, and I don't want to say if it's more of like a wheat whatever, but it's more of like a ale, like an amber ale than it is.
Really
Yeah. So
interesting.
that is like my because I was seriously terrified about it being too much.
Okay, this is a pairing that I can definitely get into.
Yeah. It is like but now I need to go from drink to cigar.
And I just did that. I just went from drink to cigar, and the berry, the sweet notes from the beer were there, but it wasn't overpowering on the cigar. And so they kind of they both stood up to each other and balanced, and it was a nice balanced pairing to where I could pick up the nice notes from either side.
Um I'm getting like earth, and it's not bad. It's not bad back and forth. That was like one thing that I was scared it was going to be too hoppy. So like, and I even let me tell you, I was so nervous. I even brought an amber L because I was scared to death. I was ready to like be like this because I know this goes great with beer, and I knew it'd go great with my cigar. But I was like, nah, I don't really need that.
Mm.
That I was like, I disappear. Yeah. But I'm gonna give a quick trivia thing, and I've kind of said it, but we have news on this. So beer bottles, I'm going to kind of talk about that because I like my IPAs and my beers and all this stuff. So beer bottles are dark for a reason, kind of like our wine bottles. And you want your beer bottle to be dark because it kind of like protects it from the sunlight because the sunlight will change the flavor of your beer. It will get in there, it messes with it, just kind of like how sunlight messes with your wine and it changes, the balance of the wine. So most manufacturers go with brown or bottle because it protects the beer if it's like in the sunlight. So will have an indentation down at the bottom, and that's to kind of help with the carbonation that it has. So there's your little thing, and it's always good to drink the beer from the neck because some people, I'm surprised, haven't said anything about how I'm drinking my beer. But if you drink your beer down here out of a bottle, you warm it up, and it impacts the taste. So that's why I'm drinking it from the neck. So there's my beer information. What's
Very
new?
good. Very good. That's also the reason why when you see when we're pouring wines, that we'll put our thumb inside of the nipple of the bottle and hold it and pour it that way rather than gripping onto the bottle itself. And the wine bottle is too heavy to grab it from the neck to pour.
Right.
And so we'll grab it. We'll take it from the nipple and rest the neck on our wrist and pour. And the reason why is so that way you don't warm. Your body temperature doesn't warm up the wine. Yeah, this is a pairing I'm getting into. I don't know if you can tell, but the burger with the peppers is bringing out more of a gamey type note in the cigar. But yet the peppers are complementing, the jalapeno peppers are complementing the pepper spices in the cigar. All right, Bert stepped up. Bert is doing a Shake Shack cheeseburger with a super deluxe box press Lancero from BLTC and a maple pecan imperial stout by Mother Earth Brewing. The beer is bourbon barrel aged, so he's adding another twist into that.
Ah.
So very, very nice. Interested in seeing how that pairing is going. Anybody else? Anybody else doing something? Have you tried your burger yet? With the have you introduced it? And such a contrast from the previous two where we were pairing chicken with our drink, with our wine and cigars. This is hitting it on every aspect of it, for me at least.
And I'm getting like some sweetness my cigar. And normally, and I'm going to tell you, because as I said, I've written about the cigar. I mean, we have an article about the cigar on our website. And I've done it with the stout. And, but I'm getting a little bit, you know how like, you have like pickled, you know, like pickled onions, and it has that sweetness to it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm getting that sweetness. Like, and I don't have any pickled onions on my burger. I have regular onions and I have pickles. And I have mustard. And I'm getting like a sweetness whenever after I start, which is nothing I was
expecting. I don't have any onions because I don't eat onions at all. But I do have tomatoes and jalapenos on the burger. Burger, IPA, cigar, IPA, burger, all going good. And I'm getting different types of notes from each. You know, granted, I'm not getting anything different on the burger because you're not going to change that. Right. But burger to the cigar, it's bringing out some of the more of the gamey, the thicker, heavier, earthy, gamey type notes out of the cigar, which is common to get in a Nicaraguan tobacco, especially Esteli. And that's where the tobacco comes from. On pretty much all of Ojeda Negro's factories. Cigar to IPA, it's toning down the sweetness from the berry and allowing the hops to come forward, which is nice. And cigar to or drink IPA to the cigar, it's creating a nice balance to where I'm picking up neither is overpowering, neither is enhancing. It's just nice balanced type flavor. Almost kind of like that perfect pairing that we've talked about so much, where both just complement each other so well.
And that's man, this is like because I when I have the burger, drink to the burger, it's like I get that hoppy. It's like I haven't had the smoke, you know. Then it's just out with the IPA we talked about. In each IPA, you kind of need to look at the what hops are in it because there's some hops that will have a mango flavor, some hops that will have a pineapple flavor, some that will have like a berry, some that will have orange, So I mean, and then if you mix the different hops together, it's almost like you can have an overload of citrus, and it's just like will take away everything. And so, like the first time, like I just had the IPA by itself. Now, would I drink the IPA by itself on a hot summer day? No, I wouldn't.
I would this one. I would
I
listen
would.
to listen to the notes. What it says about it. And I just now read this. Indigenous to higher elevations, the illustrious huckleberry is highly sought after by both human beings and bears, with refreshing notes of huckleberry, tropical fruits, citrus, and hints of strawberry. This is the IPA that you've been looking for, and they nailed it on the notes. They
Mhm.
nailed it on the notes. The huckleberry, the citrus, the fruits, the hops. I don't know what kind of hops that they're using, but the hops definitely come through, especially going from the cigar to the drink. And then you add the burger into it, and you get a nice explosion of all different types of flavors, from the tomatoes to the peppers, the cigar, the different fruity notes of the IPA as well. But Bert says, take a bite as you're chewing, take a puff of your cigar, and allow the smoke to infiltrate your burger.
I didn't. Mine wasn't very was very peppery when I did that one. Um, it's almost like I had extra pepper.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Because I will tell you, I know Whataburger puts like pepper on their burger, and as we talked about like Esteli, we know that it's got pepper in it, and it was kind of like they accidentally poured too much pepper on my burger when I did that. I mean, I don't
It,
know.
it really brought out the strength of the jalapenos for me.
Oh, no. So
It,
it's
it's like I
pepper.
converted them from jalapenos to habaneros. That's why I took a drink of my water, because my mouth is kind of burning right now.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the bread that has like some kind of like a white claw version of IPA.
And Bert, you can probably know what I'm thinking about what I would say to you right now. But I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be a nice host this one time and one time only.
But here's my thing: is with in all honesty, it was like here's my like if this was a brisket burger, let me tell you, because I've smoked some brisket burgers. It would totally like take it to the next level. It just the regular burger has had. Like I think if this was a brisket burger, it would be like next level, like beyond amazing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
also wondering, like, because like I really like pretzel bread or pretzel buns on my toast.
I can't hear you.
Okay, you can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
And
Okay.
now,
Um, like the pretzel buns because they have a little bit of extra sweet, salty kind of to it.
yeah,
Okay. So I'm wondering like what that would also be like because I think that would be interesting.
I think it would be too. The bun that I chose on this one is they call it an egg bun. It's a really light and fluffy bun, and it's nice. I'm kind of wondering what it would be like with a sourdough or with like a pretzel or maybe maybe like do a rye bread as a bun.
You know, but man, this was like I'm really shocked because I didn't think that I was so nervous about the IPA. I was really not sure how it would go, and I mean, I'm really enjoying it. Like all three ways. It's just except for if I'm puffing it and putting it in my mouth.
So Bart says that his stout beer is not a good pairing with the cigar. Too sweet in the pecan taste.
Yep.
Interesting. I was wondering how that was going to go.
I was scared for you when you said it was a maple pecan with the pepper.
Yeah, I think I think that beer would go probably better with look like a Brazilian cigar possibly,
Hmm.
or maybe I think it would overpower an Ecuadorian, but I think a Brazilian, or maybe if you went with say like a Jalapa a Habano from Nicaraguan Habano Jalapa, or a San Andres or a Cameroon.
I'm gonna tell you the CAO times three, the triple Brazilian.
Oh, that
That
is so good.
that would be really really good.
Yeah,
That would be good. But Tiffany said that she's not pairing, but it looks delicious. So here's my thing: it's just because you're not pairing, you can always try this out later.
yep.
You know,
And send us a message or comment here on what you paired later with.
um, because I know that some people are real nervous to try. Like, I was like, okay, it's a challenge. I'll do an IPA. I'll do that. I'll do this, and I was nervous because I even brought a backup beer. And
I got to give a shout out to Tiffany though,
uh
because she contacted me this afternoon and she said she was smoking the Liga Privada H99,
huh.
and I asked her to describe it to me. And so, she said it was peppery, which, I haven't smoked it, but that's pretty standard for the Liga Privadas. But she said she described the body of it. She goes, it's really dense. And she said, I think that would be described as full body. And I was like, absolutely, 100% right on the spot. Yes, she gets it. So
And
so
it
shout
didn't
out.
cook in that long either. So
No,
that's more of a shout out for that.
that's a big shout out. Understand that the body of smoke has nothing to do with the strength of it. It has nothing to do with being really peppery of it. It has to do with how dense that smoke feels. And so a full body, that smoke is going to feel really dense in the mouth, really heavy in the mouth. As opposed a lighter body is going to be really light, almost to the point where you can barely feel the smoke as it's in the cavity of your mouth.
But I am having a full body. I can tell you that right now because of that.
And
I'm
see,
on.
and from body, this one is more a little bit more medium.
Yeah, that's going to be a
Medium
medium.
is, I mean, the smoke is there. It's not heavy, and that does have to play with how intense those flavors are. So a fuller body cigar is going to intensify because there's more smoke. The
Oh,
smoke is denser, it's heavier. So it is going to intensify the flavors. But that
hmm.
doesn't mean that it's a spicy. Spiciness just comes down to the flavors that you pick up, and how easily that you pick them up is going to be with the strength and with the body of the smoke itself.
Like, I'm really liking this. Like, cause I was like, I didn't think that I would like this as much, but I'm like, I like the IPA and the cigar together.
I do too.
It is really good, which I'm like shocked. And the reason I keep putting my beer like on the floor is because I have my heaters on me, and I don't want it to get hot because there's nothing worse than hot beer. Like that is just.
Oh, yeah, that's disgusting.
So I made it to the second third, which I'm assuming you have too. So
Yeah,
how's the cigar? What note?
it's really not a lot of a transition that I can tell right now, but I haven't been paying a lot of attention to it, so I'm gonna have to focus in a little bit on
Well,
it. That
and that's
the pepper notes are still there.
oh, he paired it with the Dr Pepper. Much better.
This is just a good cigar. I mean, I would have to say this is the first time I've smoked a Misfit.
Oh wow. No. So I'm getting more of the that I was getting um from like when I first said it and I did the cold draw. So that's like it's transitioning in that second third, but you still get a little bit of that pepper kick to it. So it's a nice transition as it's going through. And Miss Tiffany, you are welcome. Um, I mean, I'm just excited that she's always been the whiskey. She's like been more to whiskey than I have, and we talked about that. Like she'll introduce me to whiskey. She's like, "Oh, you need to try this." And when she finally started smoking cigars, let me tell you, it made my heart so super happy because now she is smoking and she's exploring and trying different things and trying things together, trying things independently, and it just makes my heart like so happy every time I uh, see her post. And she's also an encourager because she leads you to other people that are like doing the same things, like to whiskey and different things. So that is just like real big kudos to her too.
And she does a happy dance when she finds out that when she finds a pairing or she finds a whiskey or a food, pairing and the combination that she really likes. She does a happy dance, and if you haven't seen her happy dance, then go out and check her Instagram profile because you'll see her happy dance out
Um, so here's my thing. What did you put? Did you do mustard, mayonnaise, or like what did you put?
there. I've got the standard mayonnaise with tomatoes, pickles, and then I added and cheese, and I added jalapenos.
Because I have mustard on mine, and I know that mustard's a lot more bolder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's got its own to it than you know.
I think next time I do this, I'm not going to add the jalapenos because the oils from the jalapenos really coat your mouth, and that
Mhm.
kind of overtakes everything else.
Mhm.
And so, in the
That.
transitioning of this in the cigar, I mean, I'm just pepper. It's like masterful pepper bomb, and so I'm
Mhm.
trying to let those oils kind of dull down to see
Mhm.
to see what I'm getting on as well. You got to kind of think about those types of things, just like what we talked about with the chicken, and if you're doing the chicken with the skin on, you do it rotisserie or a deep fried, that the oils and the fats are going to impact your drink and impact your cigar. And so you've got to take that into consideration in your pairing. And that becomes a challenge.
But and I think that's why I just went plain old James without the jalapeno. But the thing is, like, if they're doing like jalapenos with maybe and I call it candied bacon. If it's got like, if it's got brown sugar or if it's got like maple on it,
Mm-hmm.
it's tone that jalapeno down, and then you'll be able to pick up the sweetness. But here's my thing: is like tomatoes. Like, here's my thing: I'm allergic to tomatoes,
Right.
but I think of ketchup. There's that sweetness to it because they add like the sugars to it. Now, when you're eating yours, is it just like the acidity of the tomatoes, or do you get like a sweetness to it?
No, I get the full flavor of the tomato, the acidity plus also the sweetness
Okay.
of the tomato. It's just the peppers, after a couple of, half of a hamburger, and you saw, I mean, it was pretty well covered in jalapenos. Just
Yeah.
that buildup of all of those oils and all of that Caspian pepper that comes from the jalapenos, that was just got to where it's really,
Right.
that's all I was tasting anywhere. And so I needed to let that all calm
Yeah.
and tone down because that made this, and while it's, there's a lot of pepper notes to it, there's other notes in the cigar.
Right.
And all I was getting as I was coming into the second third was just pure Caspian pepper. Well, on the retro, I said this one had a little bit of cayenne pepper in the retro.
Hmm.
All I was getting was just Caspian pepper on the cigar, and I know that's not from the cigar. That was from the jalapenos.
I'm trying to figure out this flavor of the cigar because it's a very sweet, and it's not to me, you know, anymore. And I'm sitting here like, so you're gonna see me. Someone said it looks like I play with my mouth and my tongue. Yeah, I am. I'm like, whenever I hold the smoke in my mouth, I do move my tongue around because you have the four sections. So you will see, like, someone's like, it looks like you're doing a tongue dance, or, and I've had some people say some, like, not very nice things. But yes, it's doing that because I want the smoke to rotate around all areas of the tongue so I can taste it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's like what we do with bourbon, where we're swirling it around, we're chewing it. It's, the Kentucky chew is something that you're supposed to do with your bourbon to get the full flavor. Same thing with your smoke.
And I can't quite put my finger on what it is because, like, and we talk about normally it's like we associate it with a memory. Like, what have I had that's tasted like this? And it hadn't, it's not coming across. It's like it's a subtle taste, but it's a dadgum good subtle taste.
Right.
It's,
Okay. And you saying that
it's almost
just
like
brought so recently I had a conversation with a gentleman, and he mentioned that how on 1/3 or 2/3 of his draws off of his cigar that he always inhales the smoke.
hmm
He'll purposely inhale a portion of the smoke. And he mentioned that you have to do that in order to get the full flavors. And
right.
I want to talk about that for a moment because that's a misnomer. And here's why it's a misnomer. Even if your system can handle it, to where you're accustomed to it, you're acclimated to it, and you can handle the strength of that nicotine and the strength of that smoke going down your esophagus, you have no taste buds down there.
Mm-mm.
No taste buds down there. Your taste buds and your senses for for notes is in your mouth, in your palate, as what Red was just talking about, 5 areas of your tongue, and in your nasal passages. So don't be fooled into thinking that you're going to get more flavors by inhaling. What you are going to get is a very strong nicotine smoke and increased risk for health, increased health risks by doing that. So please don't do that.
Yeah, and here's my thing, and I want to say hi, Les. Thanks for joining us. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Les.
It's been a hot minute. And I know guys that at the lounge, they'll probably be like, "Man, you tattled on us," because like a lot of the guys will come back and listen and they're like, "Hey, I checked out the podcast," all that stuff. But a lot of them inhale, and I'm telling them, I'm like, dude, that is not. You're not getting any more flavor. You're not getting any more. You're not getting anything out of it, except for to maybe like hack up a lung, that strong one. Even if they can handle it. But health-wise, it's not good for you to do that. It's, that's not the intention of cigars. And it's like, and here's my thing, is we talked about it. Like with me, I was puffing it in my cheeks, and I was also retrohaling at the same time. And that's when you can really focus in on the flavor. If you can puff up your cheeks and retrohale at the same time, you'll pick up notes. But I'm also going to add this, is my allergies, and we've talked about this. Whenever you have allergies, it plays with the palate and how you taste the cigars. So Texas has been, I'm telling you, Texas is a woman, Texas is not a man, because women, we go from 0 to 90 for something. Last week it snowed all last week. Then I kid you not, that Saturday it was 65. Like Friday, I think Friday we had where it was coming up. Saturday it was 65. Monday we had beautiful, like 70-degree weather here. Then what happened yesterday? We got like rain, and it dropped like 20 to 30 degrees, and now we're freezing. So, and then again, it's been raining all day. It's been raining for like 24 hours here. And it is cold. It's like 40 degrees outside. So we're back to the winter tomorrow. It's supposed to be 38. So I know that a lot of the taste and why it's taking a little bit is because I do have that. I know it sounds gross, but I have that coating, thanks to beautiful allergies, that's on my nose, and you can't taste it. You can't really figure it out, if that makes sense.
See, it's not fair, because you can say that Texas weather is like women because it's very temperamental. But if I was to say that, then probably all of the women that are here would be like coming over and starting, getting after me. And they wouldn't have heard. They wouldn't have heard me say, "Well, but Red just said that." Oh man,
he's checking his back on that.
Damn straight.
So,
Mama didn't raise me a fool.
So, that is like, I just kind of want to. Oh yeah, and like I like how Bert said it, Albert. That would be like swallowing dip or two.
Yeah, and he's saying that in reference to what we were talking about, inhaling the smoke. You have no taste buds down in your esophagus. Your senses are all going to come from your mouth, from your tongue, and from your cheeks and the roof of your mouth, and as it comes up into the entry of the nasal passages up in here. Right. So there's no need to inhale. And if you can't retro without inhaling, then don't try to retro, because it's just not good for you. All right, so Bert is calling you out here. Well, why wouldn't you drink your IPA in the summer?
It's too hoppy. It's too citrusy. You know, if I had this cigar, you know, with it, that would be a different thing. Like if I like for me, it's like my, you know, so like if I had this cigar with it, but like you know how whenever you have like a fruit salad in the heat and you eat it and you start to feel sick. I don't know, maybe that's me. Like if I've had like fruit in the summertime and I'm just like kind of, if it's not like really cold fruit,
Yeah.
it just kind of gives you that like sick feeling. If I had this IPA all by itself, even in a frosted mug, that would be it for me. That feeling I think I would get.
Okay, so Bert is being really confusing here because he's going from YouTube to Facebook to YouTube.
Yes, I know. Okay, so I said like the Voodoo 1985 is a great, but that is not as hoppy. That like the hops that are used in that one is different. They're not as, if you just have that by itself, it's more of just like a mango, and a mango is a summer fruit because it's not too much in your face. This by itself, it's too much of the orange, too much of like, you know, it is way too much of too many citruses together to where they're fighting, and it's not as, so you want like whenever you're drinking an IPA in the summer, well for me, I'm going to say for me, I want something that is like not over the top. This is when we're out in 100 and something degree weather. Y'all got to understand. This is me out and it feels like 110, 115. And if it's too much of that fruit, like the citrus, like too much of the orange, too much of a pineapple, too much of that, it is, it's too much to where it's overpowering and it's not enjoyable, if that makes sense.
So this sounds like a really good article for the website. And as you're bringing back Ash Red's Did You Know? So during your 25th or 26th or 27th hour of the day, if you could find the time to write an article on this would be really good, especially if we could break down the different types of hops that will come into IPAs and into other types of beers, because it's not just IPAs that use hops.
Right. You have in your regular beers and stuff,
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a really good question. What is a good summer bourbon or whiskey to sip on? In the summers, I like to go with, as far as bourbons go, I like to go with more of the wheated type bourbons in the summer. So bring out some of those breaded notes, those black cherry notes in the bourbons. But my real go-to whiskeys during the summertime is a Speyside Scotch or a Highland Scotch. So really bring out those fruity and floral notes that are in those. Just really enjoy those. Some of the Japanese single grains, like a Nakia single grain whiskey, is really good. Something like that. I don't think that I would go with a high rye bourbon or a rye in the summer heat, just because those spices will really pick up. Have a tendency to pick up and can be overpowering.
But and here's another thing is, you and I, we drink our stuff neat. Mm-hmm. And that brings up another good, like a valid thing, is like even in the summertime, we're drinking it neat. We're not putting it in a big old ice cube or anything. So I think is like, if I'm going to drink a rye, it has to be chilled or over an ice cube more in the summer. So it's not so, in your face, like you were talking about.
Right, or I would go with
with something.
Yeah, in a cocktail like a rye backed old fashioned or Manhattan.
Right.
So something along that lines. An Islay, I probably would stay away from in the summer because I'm not going to put an Islay on the rocks.
Yeah.
Now I might drink do a cocktail that's called a Rob Roy, which is basically a Manhattan with Scotch, with a smoky or a peaty Scotch instead of the bourbon.
And that brings me up to like rum. I really enjoy rum in the summertime because most of the time it's like, I will drink my rum chilled, and it comes back to it being chilled.
Mm-hmm. It comes back, and the same thing with like a Bloody Mary or a margarita. So other types of cocktails that are chilled, that are meant to be cold,
right.
Meant to be served cold. Really, really good as summer drinks. I mean, honestly, when it comes to a cocktail, there's probably not many better than a really good margarita, either frozen or on the rocks. With a really nice top shelf tequila with it, just to bring out the roundness of those flavors. And when I say top shelf, I don't mean top shelf as far as expensive. I mean top shelf as in quality, where that tequila has a full roundness. You're really getting the vanilla. You're really getting the agave. You're really getting all of those flavors in that tequila. It's a good quality tequila that really balances out the citrus from the lime in a margarita. That's what makes a margarita top shelf, not spending
price.
A lot of money on a expensive tequila, because there's some expensive tequilas out there that aren't any good. Just like there's some expensive whiskeys out there that just they don't demand the price for
right. Yeah.
Okay. Here's another good one. Moscow Mule or a mojito for your summer drink. Me personally, I'm probably going to go with the Texas or a Mexican Mule over a Moscow Mule, because I like the extra added of the flavor, and all that is and I would go with that over a mojito. Although a mojito, I do like a mojito, but
sometimes that can be too much though.
Yeah. I really enjoy like a Mexican mojito is you just take out the vodka and you put in tequila. It's that, and I like that the way that tequila mixes with the ginger beer on it. That's a great explosion of different types of flavors. And then you take that and you mix, and you take, instead of using the tequila, you use the bourbon, and you have a Texas go all right, and you have it what they call a Texan Mule or an American Mule.
Yeah.
And it's great, I think.
I think for me, it's like when you add the extra like berries and stuff like to either the mule or the mojito, like blueberries. That's a really good mix in both of those.
Mm-hmm.
It brings out that sweetness, so it's not too much.
I think come this summer we're going to have to revisit some cocktails.
Yeah.
And if you haven't checked out the website, recently, we've got a couple of new articles out there. We've got a new one on coffee, which we talked about recently. We've got the top 5 old fashions, my top 5 old fashions for DFW West Side, which I'm going to start visiting DFW East Side and start trying some old fashions to determine what my top 5 there are. But we also got an article on what is a bourbon and breaking down some of the myths behind what bourbons are and what really classifies what it takes to classify something as a bourbon. And a new one that I'm writing now, which is how to drink your whiskey. And we've seen so many articles on how to drink your whiskey from different magazines, that are very reputable magazines, but they're coming from people that I don't think really understand whiskeys and the different ways to drink them and why to drink them, or why we drink them particular ways, like why we drink a whiskey neat, why we drink a whiskey on the rocks, why we add water. What's the difference between a mixed drink and a cocktail? What is some etiquette when you're going over to a friend's house and they have a nice bar? What's some etiquette that, not rules, but some, whiskey etiquette. Just like we have cigar etiquette when you're at a lounge or at a friend's house, there's whiskey etiquette too.
Right. And I'm going to say this as especially working at the lounge, because the lounge that I'm at, and like at your UG, it is BYOB. And there's been some where, we had the McAuliffe 14,
mm-hmm.
and we had the McAuliffe 12. And I kid you not, people were doing pours like this big. Or they were doing 6-ounce pours, like the full glass. And it's kind of like, I know that you're excited to try this or you've had this several times, but when it's open to the public, you've got to be considerate about letting some people who've never had the opportunity to taste that, and you want them to taste that, to make sure that you're taking the proper pour.
And I mean, that's perfect. There's the story that I've told a number of different times where at a bottle night here at the UG, and I brought out a bottle of Old Forester single barrel strength, which is coming in at 131 proof.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was basically pouring himself 4 ounces of it because he had a rocks glass. You know what a rocks glass is, and he was pouring that much in there. So that's a good 4.5, 5 ounces of 130 proof. And that's bad form. That's bad form to do that. And then 10 minutes later, he's coming back and going for another one of it. And it's just like, no. One, that's not drinking responsibly.
Right.
And when we hold the events, we're not holding the events for people to get wasted on. We're holding the events for people to try things that they've never tried before.
Right.
But another good etiquette thing, and this is one of the things we're going to talk about in the article, is when you come in and someone offers you a cigar and you choose to smoke that cigar, and do the respect and smoke at least a third of it.
Mm-hmm.
Get into the third, because that's when you're going to start getting the profile. And when it comes to the whiskey, if you like to have your drinks as a mixed drink, in other words, you're taking the whiskey and you're mixing it with Coke or Diet Coke or Dr. Pepper or something like that, ask if it's not your bottle. Ask if whoever's bottle it is, if they mind you mixing it with a Coke. Because, and here's why.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're going to be bringing out not necessarily high dollar, but good quality bourbons, good quality whiskeys. And if someone comes up and, and I've got, say I've got High West Rendezvous, which is a $70 bottle, and it's rye. Someone comes up and goes to mix that with the rye, I'm going to stop them and say, can I suggest a different one? Because you're mixing that with the Coke, you're going to lose the flavors of the drink.
And that like defeats the whole purpose of you trying something new. Like what, and I mean, I get that, people don't really like it by itself. Well, if that's the case, then you can put choose any whiskey, bourbon, whatever, vodka, if you're going to mix it, because you're not there to really enjoy the taste of it. And
right.
People are bringing this stuff out for you to enjoy the taste of it. That's the whole point of those higher end, and I'm going to say higher end of that.
Yeah, if somebody comes up and wants to mix a Louis the 13th cognac with Coke, I may come out of my skin on that one, because now you're talking about mixing a $150 a pour on the low end from a $4,000 to $8,000 bottle with Coke. Yeah. No. And to your point, it's not to disrespect people in how they like to drink their drinks. There is no wrong way to drink your whiskey, however you enjoy it. If you want to go out and spend $3,000 on a bottle of Louis the 13th and mix that with Coke at home, more power to you. That's more power to you. Just have the etiquette to ask someone if it's not your bottle, if they mind, if it's okay that you mix this with the Coke. Understand that Louis the 13th is a 50 to 60-year-old cognac, and it's just got so many beautiful flavors in it that if you mix that with Coke, you're putting alcohol in the Coke, and that's it. Because
I think I would slap you on that one. I wouldn't be as nice with you. I think I would slap you on that one. Because even I know that's a big no.
And can you mix a soft drink with a whiskey and bring out both flavors? Yes, you can. But most people, unless you've been trained as a bartender, don't know how to do that.
Because they get too much. A lot of times they get too much of that Coke in there, and that sugar just breaks it down. So you can't enjoy it. And that's the thing, is we've talked about like sugars. Like when you have a soft drink, those sugars are going to attack that alcohol, and like there's a natural sweetness that's in the alcohol, and it's going to completely change it.
Especially if you're doing something like a rum. Rum and Coke, very famous drink. Yeah. A lot of people enjoy that. Most people don't know how to mix it, how to pour that so that you get the flavors of the rum and the Coke. They'll do 1 ounce of rum and 5 ounces of Coke, or 6 ounces of Coke, and you're going to miss it. I'm sorry, you're going to miss out on all those flavors. And if you're going with a really nice rum, like an 1888 or a Diplomatico or a Havana Club or something like that, you're missing everything on it. Might as well go with a Captain's Morgan or a Bacardi, and there's nothing wrong with those. But those drinks are made to be mixed. Yes, I love what Albert just says right here. It's supposed to be a splash, not a half a bottle.
Yeah.
So that's what the article is going to be about. How to drink your whiskey.
Into it.
What's that?
I said we went just into that, but I mean that's just like, for me, trying out new whiskeys is the whole reason that I'm doing it. It's so I can explore the flavor of that whiskey, see what notes I can get. And I know that everybody's not going to be like, "Ooh, let me explore the flavor." I get that, because sometimes you just want, like last night, I wanted wine and I was out of wine at my house. I just wanted an alcoholic beverage that I didn't have to make. So I went for like I can't remember what I had last night. It was like a black, was it black cherry or something, black stout or something. And I wanted that, that satisfaction of some like sweetness to it. Mm-hmm. And like, if you just are looking for a satisfaction of sweetness, that's when we say go for like the Captain Morgans, go for alcohol that was made to mix with those drinks, because it's alcohols that they sell at the liquor store. So go for instead of the good stuff. That's just my thought.
No, and 100%, absolutely. That's the way. That's why. And Captain Morgan does more than just their standard. Bacardi does more than just their standard.
Correct.
But that's why we call them well drinks.
Right.
That's why we call them the well mix. The well mixers at the bar. You know, you go in and want a Jack and Coke. Well, Jack's number 7 as well.
And if you watch the bartenders on how they make those mixed drinks, they don't use the stuff that we're drinking.
No, they don't. And if you go in and ask them for, you know, for a higher quality
they will look at you like you're
liquor with a Coke, they're going to look at you and go, "Are you nuts?"
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So, Barb gave us 2 challenges. This is the first one, and I think this one actually would be better once the weather warms up a little bit.
Well, okay. I'm gonna go ahead because let me tell you, snow day. This is crazy. It was like that second night that we got snow. That was crazy. So, and this I'm gonna go on a little rant, but like my pharmacy said, I had to pick up my medicine or they were gonna send it back for my shoulder. So
Yeah,
I
for
had
that.
to get out. I had to get out, and then my daughter's pregnant, and she was craving a cheesecake. I have this thing. Whenever a woman's pregnant, you do not deny her cravings. You never deny her cravings. Okay, guys? So I'm going to get on my little, like, a soapbox, and even Graybeard went like this. If she's craving it, you give it to her because that makes her happy, okay? So she was craving a cheesecake. So I went out. I was like, I had to go pick up my medicine, and I was out. So I was like, I'm going to do that. But I was craving my spicy yellow rose infusion, jalapeno infusion. And I'm like, this is crazy. It's snow. It's cold. Why, to me, I made it as a summer drink. When I created this drink, I made it as a summer drink. That was the whole reason I made it. Let me tell you, I polished off like a good bit of that in the wintertime. And it was in the snow. And that's what I had for the couple of days of the snow days was that spicy yellow rose infused drink. It was really, really good in the wintertime, which I was so shocked.
See, and I was drinking high proof and rice. So I mean, I was sitting there drinking 120 plus proof rye. So this is the first challenge, and that he says, he goes, or next week's challenge, a Sazerac.
Okay, and and I kind of talked about this with Graybeard because it is the month of February. So February in the cigar world is Lancero month. So a lot of people are like, what? Yes, you love your Lanceros. So my challenge was to do a Lancero.
So let's kind of mix this up a little bit.
So we're gonna mix it up.
Because CAO doesn't do a Lancero that I know of. They've got
Lanceros that they do. I'm sitting here thinking at the top, and I don't know if CAO Lanceros.
The only one that they do that I think is even in that length is a Gordo size.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a much thicker ring gauge.
Yeah.
So let's either go with, and either of these. I mean, to do a true Sazerac, you're going to have to get some absinthe. So it's a Sazerac. You coat the glass with absinthe, and then you make it with a rye.
Mm-hmm.
So what about if we did either your spicy yellow rose infusion, jalapeno infusion, or we do a Sazerac and we make Sazerac, not the Sazerac rye, but we actually make the mixed drink, the cocktail Sazerac, and pair that with the Lancero. Mm-hmm. And Bert says, possibly my father's Lancero instead.
Well, and my thing is like, I think, and here, and let me ask you, because I know, for example, at the cigar lounge in McKinney, we do not have very many Lanceros. I will tell you that. Now, if you go over to the cigar lounge in Plano, you have an entire bay that is dedicated to Lanceros. Like every Lancero you can think of. There's some Lanceros I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a Lancero that they made. So I don't want to take away from the challenge, but I also kind of want to open it up because sometimes Lanceros are difficult to find. So I say open it up to any Lancero that you can find, and I'm all for a spicy yellow rose infusion.
Okay, so you do the spicy yellow rose infusion with the Lancero, and I'll do the Sazerac
Okay.
with the Lancero.
Okay.
And I think we sold Bird on it, Mystery Lancero.
Ooh, a mystery, yeah.
So we won't tell each other or announce what Lancero we're bringing, but we'll pair a Lancero Vitola to our drink. I like the challenge.
Yes, and we're going, and I'm going to get on my bandwagon for Lanceros next week because we're going to talk about that and the misconceptions and all of that stuff for Lanceros. We kind of hit on some of it tonight, but I just want to have a Lancero chat.
Yeah, we need to have a Lancero chat. So, some of the misconceptions on them.
Bring Philip on.
And some of the challenges. Ooh.
I might have to bring Philip on because Philip is a huge, huge Lancero lover.
Well, you know who else is, but he's so busy that I don't think we'll be able to get him back on. Luciano. Luciano is a huge Lancero.
Yeah.
And I've had him hand roll a Lancero for me here at the UG.
Yeah.
And he's talked about the difficulties and the challenges. But I mean, we were talking with Karen. We've talked with Sebastian.
Too. Like, and if you talk to like all the people that we've talked about, like in the cigar industry, what is their favorite go-to?
Lancero. Oh man, if we can get the king of Lanceros, king of the small gauge, if we could get him on the show,
yeah,
and talk about Lanceros, huh?
I know he's traveling right now.
When is he not?
But like he's hitting the U.S. travel big time.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because usually they're in his factory, or he's traveling.
One of these days, we'll get him. We'll nail him down to get him on the show. We might have to reach out to some of our. We might have to reach out to not our Albert, but the other Albert.
Yeah, and I like to give that Albert I like to give him like a real hard time. He's
awesome. He's awesome.
Awesome. But I mean, and that's why I kind of wanted to do Lancero, and especially since it's February, Lancero month. So that is one thing that I would love to get on, and I'll reach out. I know Philip might be available, so I might have to twist his arm to say, hey, come on, because that's his. I've never he's. I don't want to say obsessed with Lanceros, but he really is.
It's funny, and I know you've seen this, is that when someone has ever been introduced to Lanceros and have never smoked a Lancero before, and they've had a good one, they almost all of a sudden get on this bandwagon, this kick, and that's all they'll smoke. And then it's almost like you have to come back to them and go, okay, don't forget about your other Vitolas that bring out other, enjoyments of it.
Right.
I know I was that way when I had my first Lancero. It was like I couldn't get enough of it. So I was had to go every Lancero I could come across.
Right. So I'm excited for next week's Lanceros.
I almost think that we need to save this question for next week.
Yeah, we're gonna stop with the Lancero so we don't get on a Lancero preaching moment, because I could seriously go a preach moment for Lancero.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll
So,
save next week.
so my question for you then, outside of Lanceros, what are your top 3 Vitolas?
I really like Robusto. You know, I really like that. I like the petite Coronas.
Yeah.
Like I really, and to me, it the smaller, the better. That is just me.
Okay, so Petite Corona, Robusto, and what's the third one?
I thought you were about to do that. So Corona, Robusto, Lonsdale. Like a Lancero, but I'm gonna say it's not, and it's long. So I'm just going with the like anything that's a small gauge, if that fits.
All right, so mine, I'm with you on the Robusto, and I enjoy a Petite Corona, but I think I like the Corona just a little bit better than the Petite Corona.
Right, because sometimes I wish there was more of that.
Yeah.
Kind of tease.
Yeah,
it's a woman. It's teasing you.
Well, and I like having a Petite Corona when I've only got 35, 45 minutes for a smoke.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy a double perfecto, because for me a double perfecto you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, because you've got the small ring gauge, at the tapering of both ends, and then you've got the larger ring gauge at the center of it, so that you get that burst of body that you don't have in the smaller ring gauge.
And I would agree with that. I would agree. But like a lot of times it's like whenever I'm sitting there thinking like what I have time to smoke, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm going to, because like we know that January, February, March are my busy times.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, okay, quick smokes. That's what I've been going to here recently, or like the smaller, because that's what I have time for.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
And we're in the cold winter months, so we don't want to sit outside.
No, and honestly, I mean, I've gotten to where I'm smoking so much less right now because of the cold.
Yeah.
Well, so we got next week. We will be getting more guests on the show as events, as you've heard us say, as events start, kind of calming down, or, there's so many different events going on, not just across the cigar industry, but all industries.
Wines, like I've noticed, like wine festivals are wine festivals, beer festivals. I mean, it's like festival season. Right?
It really is. Two industries that we haven't had a guest on the show, and I want to, is someone from the beer industry, someone from the craft brew industry, either through a club, a homebrew club, or craft brew, a brewery, something along that lines. And then I really want to bring get in touch with the sommelier and the wine side.
And if you know someone, please let me know so I can reach out. I mean, it's just kind of, let me know, because like some of the people I've reached out have been unavailable or not responded, and they're not available. So please let me know, or, even like say, hey, what dates do you have available? If I can get this person on to do it. I'm open to that. So if y'all could please do that, that would be great.
Yep, that would be, we would really appreciate that. And if you have challenges for us, post them in the comments. You know, you're viewing this after the broadcasting is ended, post them in the comments, message us. Here is our Instagram info. If you don't follow us already, there's Ash Reds. And here is mine.
And oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, of course, you can always contact us. All of our information is right here on the website.
Right. And I want to say, and here's one thing. I had a couple of new people that came in from out of town, like in the last couple of weeks, and they were from the East Coast, and they came into the Cigar Lounge, and they started. They actually tuned into like one of the podcasts. One of them, I haven't even had time to tell you, came into the shop, and then he was asking questions, and he's like, "Wow, you're really knowledgeable." And I explained to him why I was there and what I did and about this. And he's like, he went on and he has listened to our show message, and he's like, this is really, really cool. So thank you for tuning in and following us. It's always a cool thing to do that.
Yes, we really appreciate it. And I want to say, I haven't told the team this yet, but our subscribers on YouTube have jumped to where we're now approaching 100 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's really fun because like a lot of the guys at the lounge have been they said, oh, I watched the episode this week, you know, or I listened to it, you know, on, you know, Apple or Spotify or Google Play. So a lot of them have been tuning in, and I appreciate that. And they're trying not to let me go. They're like sad whenever my CRT apprenticeship ends.
Yep, I hear you. Well, I think that brings us to a close tonight.
I'm out of IPA, burger, and now cigar.
I'm out of all three as well. So I guess that's a good sign for us to wrap this up. Again, as we always say, thank you everybody for joining us. We love you, appreciate it. It really helps us keep doing this and keep sending us your comments, thoughts, ideas, everything else that's associated with that. And until next time, explore the pairings.
There's something for everyone. Have a good night, y'all.
Good night.